Ride the signal through the unknown. This is the cryptic current.
In the 21st century today, the average human lifespan is 79 years. But according to legend, long ago, humans did not have such a long lifespan. That was an era when gods and humans coexisted. The gods descended to Earth to marry human daughters. After marriage, they lived a happy life together. But within that boundless joy, the seeds of evil began to sprout. Some powerful people revealed their greedy and cruel nature. Over time, this reached the ears of the gods in the universe. After careful consideration, the gods decided to send the great flood to purify the world, sparing only one couple. Because this couple, despite living in chaotic times, maintained a kind heart. Therefore, the gods decided to warn them in advance, instructing them to build a large boat before the great flood arrived. Indeed, right after the boat was completed, the earth suddenly surged with floodwaters. Not long after, the world was left with only a vast expanse of water. Does this story sound very familiar to everyone? But do you know? The story just told is not about Noah's Ark, but Greek mythology. But the main plot points in the story, such as a world full of sin, God's warning to build a boat, even the scene of a great flood punishing sins, are very similar to the story of Noah's Ark. Even in the East, there is the story of Noah mending the sky. This leads many to wonder, did a great flood really occur in the world? But is that possible? I mean, if there really was a great flood that could submerge everything, then where did all that water come from? You need to know that the water from a regular flood could never submerge the entire world. And precisely because of this, people have always regarded the Great Flood as just a mythological story. Until 1994, the CIA quietly declassified a set of documents. From the declassified documents, it can be seen that the United States not only searched for Noah's Ark but even found it. Strangely, it seems no media outlet has reported on this incident in detail. It makes people wonder, could there be something in Noah's Ark that we are not supposed to know? Most importantly, if Noah's Ark truly exists, could it be that gods also exist? Let's talk about the Noah. Hello everyone, I am Miss Ruby. According to records in the Bible, after Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, they were expelled from the Garden of Eden and descended to the mortal world. Afterward, they gave birth to several sons, Cain, Abel, and Seth. Life on earth was not as comfortable as in the Garden of Eden. To avoid hunger, one had to work hard. As the eldest son, Cain was responsible for farming, while Abel took care of the sheep. The whole family worked together to make a living. During this process, Adam and Eve continuously taught their children to have faith in God, because only then could they receive salvation and leave this world full of suffering. Initially, the sons obeyed their parents. But as time passed, the eldest son Cain began to envy his more talented younger brother Abel. In the end, Cain even plotted to murder his brother. And from then on, humanity embarked on a path of no return. And greed and violence began to appear in the world. However, God still had faith in humanity and gave humans another chance to repent. God sent 200 angels down to earth. They were overseers of humanity, mainly responsible for observation and reporting the situation of humanity to God. But they were not allowed to interact with humans. But it's unclear when exactly. Some angels began to develop affection for human daughters. Over time, these angels could no longer restrain their desire for human daughters. Thus, under the guidance of the angel Samira, they married earthly women and taught humans knowledge they shouldn't have known, even giving birth to giants. because the giants had a cruel nature under their relentless destruction. The world became no different from a brutal prison. All these actions finally reached the limit of God's tolerance. Therefore, the gods decided to bring down the Great Flood, restarting the world. But just as God was about to restart the world, he noticed Noah. Noah was the 10th generation descendant of Adam and Eve. Despite living in a chaotic era, Noah maintained his pure nature. Thus, he received God's attention. Genesis records that God told Noah there would be an unprecedented flood in history. No creature could survive that catastrophe unless a large boat was built. But this doomsday boat could not be made of ordinary wood. Both inside and outside the boat had to be coated with waterproof. The boat was 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. After completing the boat, Noah could bring his family along. At that time, Noah's family totaled 8 people, including Noah, his wife, and his 3 sons with their wives. Coincidentally, the Chinese character for boat is composed of the radicals boat, 8, person. Also heard Noah. Even more coincidentally, have you ever heard of an experiment? Biosphere 2. Its purpose was to simulate an Earth-like biosphere as a backup for doomsday. And this experiment also involved 8 people, 4 men and 4 women. This made many wonder, could 8 be the minimum number to sustain the human race? Return to Noah. Besides Noah's family, God specifically instructed to bring pairs of animals, so they wouldn't go extinct after the flood. Thus, Noah began building the boat day and night, enduring mockery throughout the process. Everyone mocked Noah, saying it was ridiculous to build such a huge boat in a place so far from the sea, but Noah remained undeterred, continuing day after day. Until 7 days before Noah's 600th birthday, the large boat was finally completed. Strangely, 7 days later, the moment everyone and all animals boarded the boat, rain suddenly poured from the sky, even though it hadn't rained for a long time. Moreover, the rain grew heavier, and in an instant mountains and rivers were submerged. Quickly, all roads were washed away by water. Soon after, Noah's family could no longer even see houses on the ground. According to Genesis, this rain lasted a total of 40 days and 40 nights before stopping. When the rain stopped, Noah's family remained on the boat for another year before the floodwaters receded. Thus, Noah sailed the boat to Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey today and began a new life there. The above is the record of the Great Flood and Noah's boat in Genesis. Historically, the reasons people doubt the authenticity of Noah's story mainly revolve around a few points. First, no evidence can be found to prove a flood ever occurred. But in recent years, more and more experts have found evidence worldwide indicating the Great Flood did happen. Therefore, this point can be excluded. The second point is that Noah's Ark has not been found. The third point is that experts have always argued that rain alone could not submerge the entire Earth. Thus, when reading Genesis chapter 7 verse 11, I was utterly astonished. Because according to it, the Great Flood could destroy the world, not only through rainwater but also from underground springs. Genesis says, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, when Noah was 600 years old, the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. The springs of the great deep burst forth. What is astonishing is that, according to The Guardian, in 2014, an American geologist named Steve Jacobson, after over 10 years of research and data collection from more than 2,000 seismometers worldwide, officially announced that he discovered an ocean existing 660 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface. Moreover, the amount of water in this ocean is 3 times that of all surface oceans, meaning The deep water source mentioned in Genesis could actually exist. But this point is truly extraordinary, almost unbelievable. As we commonly know, ancient people did not have modern machinery. So how did the author of Genesis know there was an ocean 660 kilometers underground? Could it have been revealed by a deity? And importantly, if an underground sea has been discovered, then it is possible that Noah's Ark also truly existed. Along with the astonishing discovery of the potential existence of an underground ocean capable of submerging the world, I continued investigating the Noah's Ark incident. And I found that the US once had a university professor named Potter Taylor who spoke out. He also believed in the existence of Noah's Ark. The reason was that in 1973, while studying at the West Point Military Academy, he suddenly heard a rumor. Potter said, "I was on the West Coast in 1973. And a friend once said after reading a book about Noah, that there was a strange story about the Ark." According to Potter's account. But everyone considered it just a tale, without basis. Until 1994, when the CIA declassified a document. Porter then learned that the US had indeed once searched for Noah's Ark. And it all started after World War II. The declassified document shows. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union officially entered a Cold War period. In 1949, a US reconnaissance plane was ordered to fly to the trans-Soviet region. But when flying over Mount Ararat, they spotted an unidentified object on the mountaintop. The crew immediately turned back to investigate and discovered the shape of this object somewhat resembled a boat. But it was unbelievable, as this was a 4,200 meters high mountain peak. How could there be a boat? Therefore, they decided to take photographs. In the photo, we can see a long object, covered by ice and snow. But part of it was exposed. And this photo was also classified by the US as a secret document, only declassified and made public much later. Not only that, in 1973, the US even sent a satellite to that exact location to take pictures. This is the photo taken in 1973. People can still vaguely see beneath the ice and snow what appears to be a long object. Therefore, the following year, in 1974, the US dispatched special mission aircraft to this area to search. At that time, Congressman Pop Wilson once requested to examine the aerial photographs taken during the 1974 search. However, the CIA later refused, citing that these photographs were classified documents. Notably, in this declassified file, a large amount of material had been deleted and altered. Some parts were even completely erased. This inevitably led people to suspect that the US was hiding something about Noah's Ark. The strangest thing is that while the US refused to release the photos, in 2000, a commercial satellite named Okonos captured images of an object shaped like a mysterious ship right at that location. Moreover, this time perhaps due to the greenhouse effect causing ice melt, the ship's shape became even clearer. You might wonder why people only take photos instead of going directly to Mount Ararat to investigate. Excitingly, there actually were people who did just that. In fact, there have always been people searching for Noah's Ark because for humanity, finding Noah's Ark would not only prove that the Great Flood occurred, but could also prove the existence of deities, as the Ark was built under divine guidance. And the description of Noah's Ark in Genesis is perhaps the only clue humans have. Genesis records three most important pieces of information. First, after the Great Flood, Noah's Ark still existed. Second, the specific dimensions of Noah's Ark are 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Cubit, also known as cubit, is an ancient unit of length measurement. However, different cultures had different definitions for the length of a cubit. But because ancient scriptures were written in Hebrew, People usually use the Hebrew cubit length, meaning searching for a ship 133 meters long. According to records, in 1953, after the CIA took this photo, an American geologist named John Jefferson Green was sent to the Middle East to oversee a mining project, and also claimed publicly that he had found Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat. At that time, John even took 6 very clear photographs of the ship. An 800 oil engineer also working in the Middle East, named Fred Drake Sam. However, shortly after John took these photos, he was first terminated from his Middle East assignment by the company and transferred to Canada. Then was murdered there by an unknown assailant. Strangely, those 6 photos also mysteriously disappeared right after John's death, and the trail of Noah's Ark vanished along with them. However, just as people were almost giving up hope, the Turkish government stepped forward to announce that they had found Noah's Ark. In 1960, the American magazine Life announced with a bold headline, "S Ark." In Greater Mount Ararat province, 29 kilometers to the south. And this information immediately attracted the attention of high-level officials. At this point, high-level officials felt they could no longer keep it secret. So they immediately organized an expedition team, bringing destructive equipment here to conduct a demolition investigation. At that time, they explained to the public that this was to remove a layer of soil and rocks above, and through the destruction. Through the investigation, they declared that this was not the wreckage of Noah's Ark, but a naturally formed geological structure. Therefore, not long after, no one discussed this matter anymore. Except for one person, John Wyatt. He is an amateur archaeologist. Initially, John Wyatt also doubted the information from Life magazine, until he heard the object's length was 157 meters. He was truly astonished, because this number perfectly matches the length of Noah's Ark, as recorded in Genesis. Genesis records that Noah's Ark was built with a length of 300 cubits. With a length of 300 cubits, if calculated according to ancient Egyptian cubits, then 300 cubits exactly equals 157 meters, equivalent to 5 to 6 basketball courts. Therefore, after discovering this was very likely Noah's Ark, John Wyatt immediately booked a flight and set off. When he arrived at the scene, he saw a ruin before his eyes. Although it looked like a ship, most of the hull was deeply buried underground. Thus, upon returning to the hotel, he continuously prayed, hoping an earthquake would occur, so the ship would be revealed. Only then could he gather more evidence to persuade the research team to come here and conduct a resurvey. Strangely enough, after several prayers, that locality actually experienced an earthquake. Thanks to the earthquake, Noah's Ark was now more exposed. But Ron Wyatt remained very cautious. He believed that if this truly was Noah's Ark, then other evidence could definitely be found around it. Sure enough, after several searches, first, he discovered the ship's deck planks, and the deck support pillars, and even found a strange ancient stele nearby. On the stele, 2 birds could faintly be seen, and a ship carrying 8 people. It's hard to imagine the total number of people Noah's Ark carried, according to Genesis. And the mountain in the image was very likely Mount Ararat. Ron Wyatt shared, when he saw this evidence, he was very excited. He even began to speculate this might not be the first landing site of Noah's Ark back then. He thought Noah's Ark should have landed at a higher place, because Ararat is an active volcano. After several small-scale volcanic eruptions, debris swept the hull from higher ground to its current location, and it was pierced and sunk by a protruding large limestone rock. Finally, it was buried by molten lava and turned into a fossil, like a time capsule. The notable point is that Ron Wyatt later actually found the ancient fossil fragment. He immediately brought this fossil fragment with the assistance of Irwin who had participated in the Apollo 15 moon landing mission, to have the fossil fragment tested at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Through analysis by geologist John Baumgartner, it was discovered that this fossil fragment contained metals such as manganese, carbon, aluminum. Moreover, the metal ratios indicated they were not naturally formed but were artificial alloys. Therefore, after these astonishing discoveries, in 1985, a research team with the listed as equipment at that time went to the site to investigate. And not long after, more shocking evidence emerged. Since the sample provided by Ron Wyckoch contained alloys. Initially, the research team used metal detectors to search the surrounding area, and discovered that, apart from the boat itself, there were no other metals in the vicinity. This once again proved that this place definitely contained an artificial object. Thus, the experts immediately stretched long ropes at the locations where metal reactions occurred, and the shape of the boat gradually became visible. After measurements, the shape of a giant boat was determined. During one radar inspection, they even saw compartments running along the length. It was a giant boat without a shadow, so you could see it standing out. Yeah, that's it. That is indeed a giant boat. Yeah. That's right, that giant boat. Huh, that giant boat. Huh, that giant boat. Huh, that giant boat. Surely everyone can imagine how excited the research experts were at that time. Afterward, the experts, based on the machine reactions, sketched the shape of the hull. In the western area of the hull, traces resembling wooden partitions and even connecting rivets could be seen. Many cross-shaped stone anchors were even found around. In ancient times, Noah might have used these stone anchors to secure the position of the hull. With many such discoveries, the Turkish government in 1987 officially announced the discovery of Noah's Ark. And at this moment, the United States, which previously stated that this was merely a natural geographical phenomenon, has now refrained from making any further statement. But unlike the attitude of the US government, experts from their Los Alamos National Laboratory have come forward to announce that they have found the interest of that vessel. Personally, I think, whether this wreck is Noah's Ark or not, just the fact that it was discovered at an altitude over 2,000, finding the remains of the ship is enough to prove it is absolutely not an ordinary vessel. Interestingly, this wreck is located on Mount Ararat, which is mentioned in Genesis. However, the evidence above is still insufficient to prove it is indeed Noah's Ark. So, it can only be said, it is the most coincidental coincidence in this world. If it truly is Noah's Ark, then it could prove the existence of God. The most important thing is, when the United States was the first country to set foot here, they must have discovered some astonishing secret that they don't want people to know. Please feel free to comment. Share your thoughts in the comment section below the video. And our sharing for today will stop here for now. Thank you for taking the time to watch. And if you found this video useful, please share it with a friend to watch as well. Thank you very much. Goodbye and see you again.
If the signal hooked you, subscribe and catch the next ripple.